Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mecca Mike back with some more Cowboys news. And just real quick, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's great for the algorithm. So if you don't already know already, the Cowboys have traded one of their fifth round picks to get a new quarterback. And it was speculated that the Cowboys were looking for a backup quarterback, but with this quarterback class being a little underwhelming, the Cowboys just decided to go after a guy that they really, really liked. And that guy is Joe Milton III. And it's turning heads across the NFL. One, because he's a guy that a lot of teams wanted because on the surface, it just might come off as just a routine move, but it carries layers of strategic value for what the Cowboys are looking for. Because despite Dak Prescott signing a historic 4-year, $240 million extension in September of 2024, the Cowboys are clearly still thinking long term at the quarterback position. Milton's arrival comes after Cooper Rush left to sign with the Ravens, and the worst kept secret that the Cowboys weren't bringing back Trey Lance. So that left the Cowboys quarterback room in some uncertainty, with just having Dak, who's coming off a season-ending hamstring injury, and Will Greer, who has been in Dallas before. But with their new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, now he has a chance to mold a prospect from scratch. And let's not forget Milton's athleticism. That's a big thing that a lot of teams like about him. And he has a cannon arm, which gives him the raw tools that is very, very hard to ignore. So imagine a Josh Allen, but more athletic. That's basically Joe Milton if the Cowboys can develop him properly. And this move might not shake the starting lineup. Like, he's not replacing Dak day one. So if Dak goes down um, week one, more than likely they're going to put in Will Greer, not Joe Milton. But it gives essence that there's going to be some hard decisions coming down the line, especially if he shows some promise. But it'll definitely shape the Cowboys' future for sure. So, who is Joe Milton? Well, Joe Milton is probably one of the most polarizing quarterback prospects in recent memory. Standing at 6'5" and weighing around 235 pounds, he combines elite physical traits with a huge, almost cartoonish arm. Coming out of Tennessee, scouts raved about his raw tools, but remained concerned about inconsistencies, accuracy, and pocket presence. His highlight plays are his jaw-dropping deep balls that are thrown 60 yards in stride, impossible throws across his body, but they're often surrounded by frustrating decisions and drive-killing errors. He's definitely a project, and no doubt. But with proper coaching and patience, Joe Milton has a high ceiling. The Cowboys are clearly betting on the upside here, especially now that the backup job is wide open. In a quarterback room anchored by Dak, Milton gets the luxury of time so he can develop without immediate pressure. And he's cheap, which the Cowboys love. So with them owing him only $3 million over 3 years, that's plenty of time for the Cowboys to see what he can do and see how they can get him to be a starter or a better quarterback in that amount of time. So that's who Joe Milton is. The next question that probably arise is, what does this mean given Dak Prescott's new contract? Because I know a lot of people hate him, a lot of people like him, some people are in the middle. So for depending on who you talk to when it comes to this situation, you're gonna get an answer all over the place. But what we do know is that Dak Prescott is locked in as the highest paid player in the NFL in NFL history, and he's locked in for 4 years. So some people might wonder why the Cowboys even need a Joe Milton. But let's be real. Joe Milton answered the questions he answers that he brings depth, flexibility, and long-term planning. Dak's deal includes 231 million guaranteed, which cements him as the starter for the foreseeable future, but it doesn't eliminate the need to have to groom a potential successor or have a high upside backup in case Dak gets hurt. We've seen injuries happen with Dak as in last year. Um, and you just have to have a capable option, especially an option that is cheaper than they're paying Trey Lance $5 million a year, which is crazy to me. But that's just how it is. But it's just business. Joe Milton isn't here to replace Dak Prescott day one. That's not happening. So get that out of your mind. Don't think, oh, well, this is a savior, this and that. Anything can happen in the NFL. Dak Prescott shouldn't even be starting, but people got injured. He got an opportunity. He made the best of it. So uh, don't, and again, be prepared for the unexpected. Anything can happen. But more importantly, Milton's here to develop as a better quarterback under Dak Prescott. And if he gets good and they're like, oh, we love Dak, we want to keep Dak, gives you trade value down the line if Joe Milton pans out to be somebody that NFL teams is like, man, I liked what we saw in him. So it's forward thinking move, doesn't disrupt the structure, but quietly reinforces that QB room. So again, I don't care. I'll always be pro competition. I don't think anybody's job should be solidified, even Dak Prescott. And I love Dak Prescott. So as long as there's competition, guys and the team itself will get better. So that's all it really means for Dak. It's just you have a cheaper option, high upside. You can't go wrong with that. So remember, I told you Trey Lance signed with the Chargers. He signed with them in April of 2025. So because of that, and obviously Cooper Rush leaving to Baltimore as well, that gave Dallas an opportunity to go and find this developmental option. And Milton, he now steps into that void with a clear runway to earn the QB2 role behind Prescott. His competition is Will Greer. And with Lance out the picture, there's less of a log jam and there's more of a structured path for Milton to get that QB2 job. But I'm just going to be honest with you. The competition is going to be fierce. Dallas could even bring in another veteran, or they might even draft a rookie. I highly doubt it this year, but they'll bring in some free agents. So just be prepared that they're gonna go through a gauntlet to really see, okay, how do you stack up against these guys? Can you learn the system? Can you get better? So the one thing I like is that unlike Lance, you knew what Trey Lance was. He's had way too many opportunities for people to be like, oh, let me bring in Lance to try it out. You've seen what he can do. Joe Milton, again, and another big thing too, I'll say is I believe Mike McCarthy never wanted Trey Lance, so they didn't care about getting him better. It's like that was a whole Jerry thing. And for me, Mike McCarthy is not a developmental coach. He's just, this is what I want to do, run it. That's how he does things. And that's fine. You have the right to do it your way. But I think Schottenheimer is different in the sense that, okay, they're going to prioritize not only learning their scheme, but getting their guys better, bringing in that competition. And for me, that's what I like and I want to see, and that's what the Cowboys need in order for them to get better. Um, but this is going to be a fluid situation. I can't wait to see now that all the McCarthy guys, in a sense, or the older regime of guys are gone. Now we have this new, fresh guys, and I know Wilker's been here before, but they let him go. What's his name? In one preseason game he did more than Cooper Rush has ever done. But they're gonna say, "Oh, but Cooper Rush won off of defense." But throwing the football, Cooper Rush was not good at all. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. Some people feel like he was better than Dak. Crazy, but hey, man, that's what it's like being a Cowboys fan. Okay, so now let's talk about how this all goes well with Schottenheimer's system and Milton's potential fit. So Brian Schottenheimer, he brings a different offensive philosophy than Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has this old school mentality where it's like run up the field, come back. You got to be super, super pinpoint accurate, and it it was just dated because he didn't like motion, didn't like doing trick plays, didn't like doing a lot of stuff. But Schottenheimer, historically, he's leaned more on a strong play action, vertical concepts, and mobility at the quarterback position, actually running the football. That's not Mike McCarthy whatsoever. And they're all traits that align with Milton's strengths. And while Milton still needs serious refinement on his footwork, anticipation, and decision making, Schottenheimer's system could play to his natural gifts. And this is one thing I loved about Schottenheimer being here is that they want to make the offense easier on the quarterback. Mike McCarthy was just like, I want to do things my way, get in where you get in, fit in where you fit in. That is stupid, doesn't make sense, but some coaches are like that. They think they know the best. So if you do it my way, you'll be successful. But when it doesn't work, they don't know what to do. They're just going to keep beating the drum on you got to do things my way to make things work out. And that's, for me, was one of the reasons why things fell apart in Dallas. But yeah, I know Jerry set him up to fail, but again, Mike helped in that. You could have easily made the playoffs with Cooper Rush, but because you want to do things your way, you lost. But that's for another day. But Schottenheimer's system can play to Milton's natural gifts. Expect him to spend this year buried in the playbook, working with the QB coach to rewire some of his mechanics. Dallas now has a developmental coach in place who may have way more patience than Mike McCarthy did with his young quarterbacks. You saw Mike McCarthy didn't have patience. He said, "I want the vets. Vets know what they're doing. Vets can run my system. Vets can do this, and that's great." But just because they're vets doesn't mean that they're good. They're just there because they can learn a playbook, but can you execute? That's a whole different story. Um, and But this coaching transition will actually benefits Milton more than any other player on this roster because he enters a more open-minded system that could finally unlock his potential. And he wants to be in Dallas. So that's a very, very big thing. And supposedly there was a report that the Patriots respected his decision. It said supposedly they got better offers from other teams, but they respected his decision to want to go to Dallas. So that's why they accepted the trade. So he wants to be there. Cowboys wanted him. It's a good fit and something you can build on. So that was, for me, was something that was very, very important. And you just like to see stuff like that, especially if a guy wants to be there. He's going to work harder, especially because of the team that didn't want him, even though he might have been better. But hey, we gonna see how that plays out. I'm just saying we're gonna see how that plays out. So and then the Cowboys trading for Milton is a smart, forward thinking decision. It doesn't threaten Dak's status. I know a lot of y'all are mad about that. It is what it is. But it acknowledges the importance of always grooming the next man up. especially at the quarterback position. With Rush and Lance gone, a new coaching regime in place, Milton gets a fresh start with low pressure and high opportunity. His development could take a year or two, but if it pays off, the Cowboys will have a dynamic backup or even a potential future starter on their hands. More importantly, it gives Schottenheimer a chance to put his stamp on the team's future beyond just the starters. Cowboys fans should keep an eye on training camp and preseason snaps because Milton is the kind of player who turns heads when the lights come on. The future is secure with Dak, but the foundation for tomorrow might be sitting right behind him. So we're just going to see, guys. It's going to be very interesting how things play out. Um, Again, very, very smart move. Glad all of this worked out because the biggest thing is I'm glad it took the pressure off the Cowboys to have to draft a quarterback in the draft. You have too many needs, and I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. Drafting a quarterback this year when you don't have a fourth and you have a lot of holes on your team just doesn't make sense. And that's just me. Especially in a weaker class, I wouldn't reach for any of these guys. So it just is what it is. But that's all I got, guys. New quarterback, new coaches, new scheme, a lot of new in Cowboys for the Dallas Cowboys, and hopefully it works out for the best. The draft is coming up soon. I think we have what 2-3 weeks to the draft. Um, so we're gonna see what the Cowboys do because it will tell us a lot about the future of the Cowboys and see if they're truly in win now or if they're rebuilding. Yeah, so we gonna see. Hopefully, it's no more of what was that saying that Jerry said? All in. Yeah, all in to rebuild. That's what it seems like. But hey, it is what it is. So thank you for watching this video, and for all the socials, it's Mecca Mike. That's MECCHA Mike, and I'm out.